you know, from, like I said in my talk, from one event to the next, you know. So, you know, you can possibly do that, you know, it is possible, but at the same time, I believe there's something greater than our own lives and our own existence that's worthy of worship and worthy of praise and, you know, worthy of acknowledgement, you know, that we exist. I think there's a hadith that a guy, he was somewhere remote and he wasn't in contact with any people, and he was praying. So he prayed for something like 300 years, I think it was. I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember it exactly yet. But basically, he died and he went and faced Allah, and he was basically saying, I don't want any help. You know, I want to just face Allah on my own, with my deeds. Yeah. And Allah said, oh. Okay then, right, we'll start off with your right eye. For your right eye, the blessing of having sight in your right eye, that is worthy of 300 years worship. And the guy said, okay, wait a second, you know, I'll have someone an intermediary. Yeah, I'm not going to take it just on my actions, because, you know, we kind of take things, you know, like, I've got the ability to pick up this cup, I've got the ability to talk to you, yeah. But we've got to realise the blessings of this life. We exist. We're able to kind of communicate with each other. You know, we're able to do all these amazing things, you know. And to think, you know, I'm the greatest thing, you know, there's nothing greater than me, you know, which a lot of people do. You know, they see themselves as the highest on the food chain kind of thing. There's nothing greater than a human being. You know, there is a will greater. And if you just try submitting to it, yeah, if you just try, you will understand the real beauty of what I'm saying. It's not just words, it's from experience. So you can live a lifestyle where you kind of are going along, you know, all the good things, avoiding evil, yeah. But you're missing out so much beauty and blessings and the purification of your heart, which is extremely hard to do without the guidance of a prophet and God. I don't know if you can do that, if you can purify your heart and your intentions. Do you know what I mean? Because you can do something, yeah. You could do something and think it's selfless. I thought all my life I was doing things for other people. But when I got down and placed my forehead on the floor and submitted my will to God, I realised that actually I just wanted people to say, oh look, you know, he's doing something really good there. You know, you realise that, you know, your intention is what is important, and that your intentions being totally selfless and for God, that purifies your heart. It gives you such beauty in your life. It's hard to get across in words, you have to experience it, and it's up to you and everyone else whether they actually choose to. So.
Yeah, I think to comment on that, when people lead a hedonistic lifestyle, I think they're searching for something, and that idea is sold to them via the media, that hey look, you've got a good house, you've got a good wife or husband or girlfriend or whatever it is these days, boyfriend. That's success here, you've achieved what it is about this world. And yet you find people who, just take the Hollywood stars as a good example, and they're a mess. You'll find they've got everything and they're doing crazy, wacky things, yeah, still. So you chase that vision that the media's put up for you, yeah, this is success, and then you go after it with all your effort, with all your, you know, all your energy. And then when you get there, you only find that this thing is so empty and shallow. So it's not just about Islam as an alternative to hedonism. You know, Islam is giving a way of life, yeah, an economic system, it's giving a social system, it's harmonizing relationships between man and woman. A very important thing, because what culture has done now, it's turned that very sacrosanct relationship between man and woman into like a hostile situation where we see divorce rates soaring over 50%, many people not even bothering to get married. And this is shown as the hip and trendy way to live your life, yeah? Many children, my nephew is at a school where they asked how many of their parents were divorced, and he said around 90% of the children put their hands up to say that their parents were separated. And some of them saying, you know, it's cool because each parent tries to outdo the other one and giving us gifts when we're with each other. But deep down, they really feel that loss of not having that stable home. And that does have an effect on people. So, you know, Islam is trying to address all these issues, and because of this reason it gets attacked. I mean, they say Islam oppresses women, yeah? If you've really got to examine it, and is this a faith which oppresses women? There's a hadith of the Prophet where he says, paradise is at the feet of your mother, yeah? Now, would a faith which oppresses its women say paradise is at your mother's feet, yeah? The issue on economics, you take Nigeria, took a $1 billion loan in the 70s, today it's paid back 50 billion, and it still owes another 50 billion. Islam addresses this issue by abolishing tax, interest. Islam encourages trade so everyone can profit. Why is it that a few elite bankers just get richer and richer, and the majority of people are running around like headless chickens, just trying to make ends meet? 50, 60 years ago, the women stayed at home and brought up a family. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong if women want to work, that they can work. The Prophet's first wife, she was a businesswoman, and the Prophet was an employee of his wife to be. So that's not an issue. The issue is now that the system has been brought to a stage where husband and wife are both working, they still can't seem to make ends meet. And yet a few ultra-elite just seem to get richer and richer, and the so-called politicians that we think we vote, it doesn't matter which party they come from, they all seem to be following the same script. And life is just getting harder and harder for that, you know, contented, stable family life. So there are religions which consider it's honourable for their women to jump on the funeral pyre of their husband. And media won't talk about that. They'll portray these as very peace-loving, lovely religions. We could go into a whole host of why is it that they just zero in on Islam. Yeah, this whole issue of terrorism, you've got to look into it much more deeper. It's not just what's being portrayed. And Steve mentioned, you know, that they need a bogeyman for this century. Meanwhile, so many laws have been passed in this country in the wake of these so-called 9/11 terrorist attacks. But if you actually look at who they have arrested using these laws, you'll find most of them are just your average English person. New terror laws are being used for littering on the streets, for people in their wheelie bins. I mean, they've just passed all these general laws, and they're applying them willy-nilly to everyone. So there's a much bigger agenda there, and unfortunately I think most people have just fallen for the banner headlines that these people hate our way of life, yeah, and they just want to destroy it. So, you know, you can see if you really have to persist in the face of this propaganda campaign to think, okay, I'm not going to take what mainstream media is telling me to think. I'm not going to listen to the news and think as they want me to think. I'm going to think for myself. I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to speak to people, and then I'm going to come to my own conclusion, whatever that conclusion may be. In Islam, there's no compulsion in religion. So this idea that Muslims are out to force the world to convert, it's nonsense. Does anyone want to add to that?
I think it's no accident the newspaper with the strongest anti-Muslim rhetoric, which links the Daily Star, is owned by a leading pornographer. You know, surprise, surprise, he doesn't want, he doesn't like Muslims. You know, and then you look at you know how this guy makes his money is, you know, pornographic magazines. You know, the newspapers are the sideline.
And these are advisors to the mainstream political parties. I think this guy is an advisor to the Tories. So yeah, here you have people undermining. I was reading an article about how relationships are breaking down, and how men have an idea of sexuality which is completely programmed by the pornography which they're seeing on the computer screens. You know, they're seeing women as sexual objects, they're not seeing women as human beings to treat with respect. So society is really melting down here, and in the face of that, anything which stands in its way is going to be demonized.
Can I just add a comment to what the gentleman asked? I think what you asked, if I remember correctly, is can a devoid of religion, can we develop a moral code or follow a moral code?
Based on kind of reason and
yeah, exactly. So just a comment on that, and then a question. The comment I have is that any moral code has to be accepted by society. I can't develop my own moral code and expect my neighbour to follow that moral code.